Hey everyone, we need to talk. It's about America, the place we call home. Right now, it's facing some serious challenges. We're talking about 10 states in particular that are facing some really tough times. Because if we know what we're up against, we can actually do something about it. Stick around because the information we're about to reveal could change your life, or save it. Okay, first up we're heading down south to Texas, the second largest state in the US, both in terms of area and population. The Lone Star State, known for its pride, its independence, and its really unpredictable weather. From scorching summers to sudden storms, Texas weather keeps everyone on their toes. We all remember the winter storm of 2021, right? It was a stark reminder of how extreme weather can catch us off guard. Millions without power, freezing temperatures, and a power grid that just couldn't handle the pressure. It was a crisis that highlighted the vulnerabilities in the state's infrastructure. But it's not just the weather. Texas is a state of contrasts and rapid changes. Texas is growing, and fast. Cities like Austin, Houston, and Dallas are expanding at an unprecedented rate. People are flocking to the state, drawn in by the booming economy and the promise of a fresh start. The tech industry in particular is seeing a massive influx, but all those new folks, they need places to live, they need water, they need resources. The demand for housing and basic amenities is skyrocketing, and that puts a strain on the system, a system that's already struggling to keep up. Traffic congestion, overworked power grids, and stressed infrastructure are becoming common issues. More extreme heat, more droughts, more storms, all of that puts a huge demand on the power grid. The climate challenges are intensifying. But hey, Texans are resilient, right? They're known for their toughness. Communities come together in times of need, showcasing the true spirit of Texas. The good news is, Texas is a state that prides itself on innovation. From tech startups to renewable energy projects, there's a lot happening. They're investing in renewable energy, they're looking for ways to conserve water, and they're working to strengthen the grid. The future may be challenging, but Texas is gearing up to face it head-on. From the scorching heat of Texas, we're heading to the shimmering lights of Nevada, a state synonymous with risk, reward, and a whole lot of desert. The vast, arid landscapes stretch as far as the eye can see, painting a picture of both beauty and desolation. Specifically, we're talking about Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, where neon lights and endless entertainment options create a playground for adults. A city built on a gamble. Every spin of the roulette wheel, every roll of the dice, echoes the city's daring spirit. But this time, the stakes are higher than ever before. The glitz and glamour mask a looming crisis that could change everything. Because the biggest gamble Nevada is facing, it's not at the roulette wheel, nor is it in the high-stakes poker rooms, it's for their very survival. The lifeblood of the state is at risk. We're talking, of course, about water, the essential resource that sustains life and fuels the city's vibrant energy, or rather, the lack of it. The parched earth tells a story of scarcity and struggle. See, Nevada relies heavily on the Colorado River for its water supply. This mighty river has been the backbone of the region's water needs for decades. But that river is drying up, folks. The once robust flow is now a mere trickle in many places. Years of drought, overuse, and a changing climate have taken their toll. The relentless sun and lack of rain have left their mark, and that means that Nevada, especially Las Vegas, is facing a water crisis of epic proportions. The city's future hangs in the balance. Now, you might be thinking, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but this is one problem that won't stay put. The ripple effects could be felt far and wide, but this is one problem that won't stay put, because when the water runs out, the parties stop. The vibrant nightlife and bustling casinos could come to a grinding halt. Because when the water runs out, the parties stop. And it's not just about the glitz and glamour, the very essence of the city is at stake. And it's not just about the glitz and glamour, it's about the survival of a community, a way of life, and the future of the Silver State. We're trading in the desert for the Great Lakes as we head north to Michigan, a state known for its natural beauty, its industrial heartland, and its struggles. From the pristine waters of Lake Michigan to the dense forests that stretch across the Upper Peninsula, this state is a treasure trove of natural wonders. But beneath this beauty lies a story of economic hardship and resilience. Because while Michigan might be surrounded by fresh water, it's facing a whole different kind of drought, an economic one. The once thriving downtowns now echo with the silence of closed businesses and empty streets, a stark reminder of the economic challenges that have gripped the state. For decades, Michigan was a powerhouse of American industry, especially the auto industry. The assembly lines of Detroit were the heartbeat of the nation, producing cars that drove America forward. This industrial might was the backbone of Michigan's economy. But times change, industries shift, and Michigan was left reeling from factory closures, job losses, and a shrinking population. The once bustling factories now stand abandoned, and the streets that were once filled with workers are now eerily quiet. And nowhere is that struggle more evident than in Detroit. a city that became synonymous with urban decay. The skyline tells a story of a city that has seen better days, with abandoned buildings and dilapidated neighborhoods painting a picture of decline. Now, Detroit's a city that's no stranger to hardship. Its history is marked by periods of prosperity followed by times of great difficulty. The people of Detroit have always shown a remarkable ability to endure and adapt. They've weathered storms before, both literal and figurative. From natural disasters to economic downturns, Detroit has faced and overcome numerous challenges. But the challenges they face are immense. Crumbling infrastructure, widespread poverty, and high crime rates are just a few of the issues that have plagued the city for years. These problems are deeply rooted and complex. Crumbling infrastructure, poverty, crime, these are problems that have plagued Detroit for years. The roads and bridges are in disrepair, homelessness is a visible issue, and crime remains a significant concern. But here's the thing about Michigan, about Detroit. They're fighters. The spirit of the community is strong, and efforts to rebuild and revitalize are ongoing. From community gatherings to protests, the people are actively working towards a better future. They don't back down from a challenge. The resilience and determination of Michigan's citizens are driving forces in the state's ongoing recovery. With every effort, they are working to restore the greatness of the Great Lakes state. Chapter 4: Alaska Paradise Lost. From the Motor City, we're traveling to the last frontier, Alaska, a land of rugged beauty, abundant wildlife, and a rapidly changing environment. Because while Alaska might be a paradise for nature lovers, it's also on the front lines of climate change. We're talking melting glaciers, rising sea levels, and thawing permafrost. And that's not just bad news for the polar bears, folks. It's bad news for everyone. Because when the environment changes, so too do the lives of the people who depend on it. For Alaska, that means coastal erosion is threatening villages, thawing permafrost is damaging infrastructure, and changing migration patterns are impacting wildlife and the people who rely on them for subsistence. And then there's the economy. Alaska's economy is heavily reliant on oil and gas production. But as the world moves away from fossil fuels, what does that mean for Alaska? Chapter 5. West Virginia. Farewell to the mountain state. From the icy north we journey to the Appalachian Mountains of West Virginia, a state known for its stunning landscapes, its rich history, and its dependence on a dying industry. Because for generations, West Virginia's economy was built on coal. It powered their homes, it fueled their industries, it provided jobs and a way of life for countless families. But coal's grip on West Virginia is loosening. The demand for coal is declining, mines are closing, and jobs are disappearing. And for a state that's already struggling with poverty, opioid addiction, and a shrinking population, it's a devastating blow. Now the people of West Virginia are proud, they're hardworking, and they're fiercely loyal to their communities, but they're facing an uncertain future. Chapter 6. Mississippi, can the Magnolia State bloom again? We're heading south to Mississippi, a state steeped in history, culture, and heartbreaking hardship. Because for far too long, Mississippi has been at the bottom of the list when it comes to healthcare, education, and economic opportunity. And that's not just a statistic, folks, it's people's lives. We're talking about families struggling to put food on the table, children going to schools without enough resources, and people dying because they can't afford healthcare. It's a cycle of poverty that's been passed down for generations, and it's time to break it. Now, the people of Mississippi are resilient, they're resourceful, and they're deeply connected to their communities, but they need our help. Chapter 7. Louisiana, sinking or swimming in the Pelican State. From the heart of the South, we journey to Louisiana, a state known for its vibrant culture, its musical heritage, and its precarious position on the front lines of climate change. Because while Louisiana might be a place of celebration, it's also a place of constant risk. We're talking about hurricanes, folks, big ones. The kind that can wipe entire communities off the map. And as the climate changes, these storms are only getting stronger, they're getting wetter, and they're getting more destructive. And it's not just the storms themselves, it's the rising sea levels, it's the coastal erosion, it's the disappearing wetlands that act as a natural buffer against these storms. From the bayous of Louisiana, we arrive in the urban jungle of New York, a state synonymous with opportunity, ambition, and a whole lot of concrete. Because while New York might be home to the Empire State Building, the state itself is facing some pretty imperial challenges. We're talking about a mass exodus, folks. People are leaving New York in droves, priced out by the soaring cost of living, fed up with the crumbling infrastructure, and disillusioned by the growing inequality. And it's not just the wealthy who are leaving, it's teachers, it's firefighters, it's nurses, it's the very people who keep this city running. Now, New York City, it's a survivor. It's been knocked down before, but it always gets back up. From the bright lights of the Big Apple, we head to the heartland of America, Illinois, a state known for its fertile farmland, its industrial cities, and its mountains of debt. Because while Illinois might be home to the land of Lincoln, it's also facing a financial crisis of Lincoln-esque proportions. We're talking billions of dollars in debt, folks. Years of mismanagement, pension shortfalls, and declining revenues have left Illinois teetering on the brink of financial collapse. And the consequences are real. Schools are being underfunded, social services are being cut, and infrastructure is crumbling. Now, the people of Illinois, they're hardworking, they're resilient, and they're fiercely proud of their state. But they're fed up. From the Midwest, we arrive on the sun-kissed shores of California, a state synonymous with Hollywood glamour, technological innovation, and a whole lot of contradictions. Because while California might be the Golden State, it's also a state of extremes. We're talking about wildfires, folks, the kind that rage out of control, consuming everything in their path, and as the climate changes, these fires are only getting bigger, they're getting hotter, and they're lasting longer. And it's not just the fires, it's the droughts, the floods, the mudslides. California is a state living on the edge, a state constantly grappling with the forces of nature. And then there's the cost of living. Wow, that was a lot, right? 10 states, each facing unique and complex challenges. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel like the future is bleak. But here's the thing, it's not a done deal. The challenges these states face are real, but you're not powerless. Planning, awareness, and taking action can make all the difference. These states, they're not just statistics, they're not just headlines. They're our homes, they're our communities, they're our families, and we can't give up on them.